So tell us about this bill you just introduced.
Well, the You Must Be Alive Vote Act, H.R. 8830, is a sad to say, but a necessary item that we must introduce in light of the fact that we still have a lot of problems with a lot of perception out there by half of America that we don't have an open and transparent election process. And you would think it would be unnecessary to have a bill like this. I mean, it goes without saying you should be alive before you get to vote. You mentioned 1,500 people voting in that state, and that's just one state. We've uncovered some fraudulent plans to register a bunch of dead people to vote down in South Florida. And it's the easiest thing in the world for these local counties to purge their voter lists of deceased individuals. All they have to do is to go to the Social Security system and cross-check against their deceased Social Security recipients on their list and then purge them off of the voter list. It's just not happening. And so my bill would actually penalize these states and these counties from getting any kind of federal money from the Department of Transportation or the Department of Education if they do not do so on an annual basis. We would not certainly not withhold funding from law enforcement agencies, but for transportation and education, we most certainly would. And it's something that has to be done. This is not a bipartisan, this is not a Republican bill. This should be a bipartisan effort to make this election process a lot more transparent. When we have the perception out there by so many millions of Americans, 74 million plus had voted for President Trump to try to clean up our election process. It is absolutely inexcusable that we would have an election process in this country where we have had the peaceful transfer of power between presidents and administrations for 240 plus years, and now all of a sudden we have an enormous number of individuals in this country that don't trust the election process. Not good.
And now that you've introduced your bill, what's the response been like from some of your colleagues in the House? Is there a lot of support?
Well, we've got 8 co-sponsors, what we call original co-sponsors. We are still picking up a lot of co-sponsors now that we've dropped the bill. We've introduced the bill. In other words, we will get a lot more, and we're hoping that we'll get some Democrats on this bill. Everyone in this Congress, everyone in this country should want an assurance that dead people are not voting. And we don't have that assurance right now because so many of these voter lists have just not been updated. Whether it's intentional, whether it's laziness, indolence, or just nonchalance, we need to make sure that these voter lists are accurate and that deceased individuals are not on there voting. And of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg for this past election. As you mentioned earlier, we've had a number of thousands of people who voted multiple times, huge vote spikes and drops that had hundreds of thousands of people voting for Joe Biden and not voting any race down ballot, just for Joe Biden. And this is why I think that the American people don't have a lot of trust that this was a transparent election. And we better get this right, or the consequences to our free democratic republic will be dire.